Hi guys, thank you so much for coming to the channel. This is MJ Clark's Review Point. Today we're going to be discussing Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. This stars Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, Winston Duke, Dominique Thorne, Florence Kasumba, Michaela Coel, Tanak Huerta Mejia, Martin Freeman, and Angela Bassett. This movie just came in theaters tonight for its premiere opening. Tomorrow it's going to be its worldwide release. This will be a non-spoiler review, so I promise you are more than welcome to stay and do not have to feel the need to click away. I am a massive Black Panther fan. I even got a tribute piece of him tattooed because I am Polynesian and Black, and I wanted to represent him in my native symbols. This film, in all intents and purposes, is a love letter and a goodbye to Chadwick Boseman, who played the titular role of Black Panther, aka T'Challa. Now, we have known the character Black Panther on screen in the MCU for a little over 6 years now, captivatingly performed by the late, great, just genuinely sincere, good human being, Chadwick Boseman. This film is not only a goodbye and closure for the cast, but also for the fans, and to put a beautiful bookend on the character as then known by T'Challa, and subsequently pass the mantle of Black Panther. And this movie also does a great job of asking the question, should the mantle even be passed? This movie is, all intents and purposes, the end of Phase 4, as we know it. It's the final film in Phase 4, the final part of Phase 4. It isn't really there to set up too much for the future. This movie, honestly, I think does a great job of keeping itself in its own bubble for what the problems and what the consequences of those problems are in the very film in which is taking place. It's not worried about some major, giant, universal threat or, anything to do with what happened in Eternals. There's no discussion about quantum realms and, alien, invasions and stuff. Yes, they mention Thanos like once in the movie, but this movie is really all about focusing on its own problems. It's not about trying to set up future films. I think what's amazing about that is they knew that if they tried to use this film to overly plug future projects, it would be disrespectful to the very message that they were trying to send out about just saying goodbye to Chadwick. One thing I loved about this film was in the very opening of the film, after, we find out that Chadwick or T'Challa himself is in fact gone, is that they did the Marvel logo. And the entire logo was silent. No music, no Marvel, classic intro. Instead of all the characters forming and appearing inside the Marvel Studios logo, it was dead silent. And they were all clips of Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa and Black Panther. And it was purple instead of the classic red and white. I thought that was beautiful. Right in the beginning of the movie, already I'm misty-eyed and feeling tears. This movie, if in my personal opinion, I believe is the best acted by the main cast, best acted Marvel movie in a very long time by the main cast, specifically Denai Guerrera, Letitia Wright, and Angela Bassett. I mean, you have your superhero films, you have your MCU films, and you know that there is a level of expectation. You know you're going to get a great performance. You know you're going to get amazing character moments. This movie was about the emotional moments, the emotional resonance. It was not about creating crazy action set pieces. And don't get me wrong, they are in the film. But this movie was definitely about reaching into your heart and allowing you to say goodbye and show how you were feeling. And I know that in a lot of lead up to the film, the cast had been saying that this was one of the hardest things they'd ever done trying to be on set every day, filming with the over immense weight of loss resting on the movie set. They did the film and made the film and got through every day of shooting for Chadwick because they knew it's what he would have wanted. He was a very the show must go on type of man. And they put a lot of love in this film for Chadwick. I like that the film not only deals with his loss without directly making up an excuse for why he's passed. In fact, the very excuse or reason that they use in the film is that he fell sick to an unknown illness and it was too late by the time they had caught it, and that he had passed with grace and gravitas. Basically, they took the actual real world scenario and how Chadwick Boseman himself had passed, where he had cancer, which barely anybody knew about, no one knew publicly about, and that he basically just spent the last year of his life giving back to people and passed just surrounded by a couple friends and family, and no one knew that he was sick until he was already gone. The movie, in fact, is asking you to remember him for the strength he had, that carrying on is what he would have wanted. He wouldn't have wanted you to feel the pressure and the weight. And this movie deals a lot specifically with how not properly handling loss can destroy you, and how it can turn you into something you don't want to be, how it can be easy to become complacent in that loss and allow it to terraform you into someone you don't recognize, into a vengeful person, an angry person, an insincere person, someone who is easily corrupted or corruptible, and how not processing your emotions and your feelings truly changes who you are from the inside out. It's the dichotomy of the two different worlds. Like in the first Black Panther movie, when you had Killmonger and T'Challa, how they both were opposite from each other based on their individual experiences, particularly their individual Black experiences based on the environments they grew up with. T'Challa growing up in a third world country, yes, but a highly advanced private country where he was royalty, whereas Eric Killmonger, his own blood, grew up on the streets in the hood and had to fight for everything. Such a great movie because it really deals with the themes of specifically vengeance and how it can consume you. Beautifully mirrored from the first appearance of Black Panther in the MCU and Captain America 3 when he catches Zemo on the mountainside and says, "It's consuming you. It's consumed them. I'm done letting it consume me." The film itself is beautiful. The score is gorgeous. The only gripe I honestly have with the film is that some of the visual effects are a little weird. They're a little wonky, as has been a running theme in the Phase 4 of Marvel in the past year and a half. I believe we've all noticed that some of the visual effects are just very off. And it's not like it's new, because even in Black Panther 1 with the rhinos, they were very, very unfinished as far as their animation and their rigging and everything is concerned. In post, they just were not polished. Now, I think that what a lot of movies, get flack for is the visual effects from people who have no idea how to make them themselves and really shouldn't offer any kind of criticism when they couldn't do anywhere near as good as what we get or have gotten, and are still willing to persecute, a film for the CGI not being up to an audience's par, when in fact it could be due to a lot of things like time constraints, budget, so on and so forth. The only thing I thought about the film that was distracting were that the visuals were sometimes noticeably distracting because you could tell that they were unpolished. That being said, it did not take me out of the movie. It just was something I noticed. I feel like Angela Bassett should be nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance in this film, if not an Academy Award, because it's like she didn't show up to act in a Marvel movie. And Angela Bassett, as we all know, is a powerhouse of an actress. She is right up there with the Meryl Streeps of the world. But she showed up to this movie like it was Oscar season. And even though a lot of her emotions were purely raw from the loss of her friend, Chadwick Boseman, and the weight and emotion of dealing with filming while processing those emotions, she was beautiful in this film. Every scene she was in was just driven by pure raw emotion and talent. And she honestly turned this movie up to another level, as did Letitia Wright and Denai Guerrera. I mean, Okoye has shown emotion before in these MCU films, but here Denai just cranked it up to her absolute best. Letitia Wright, another well-established dramatic actress, phenomenal performance. And as the lead, her being the lead in this film, she is leading lady material. She can carry a film, and this is proof of that. She is dealing with so much while trying to put this performance on, but she carries it on her back. And with the assistance and help of Angela Bassett and Denai Guerrera, they pull it off with tremendous effect and phenomenally knocked it out of the park. This, in my opinion, has the best after credits sequence I've ever seen in a Marvel film. It was an after credits scene that you don't realize is an after credits scene until it's over, because they drop it in the very middle of the last scene, and then you realize, oh, this is an after credits scene or a mid credits scene. And there is a moment there where I genuinely, next to my wife and my friends, just broke down in the movie theater. I let it all out that I knew I was going to cry in the film, but I didn't know how much his death had bothered me until I sat there and let the film help me process my emotions and say goodbye, which is what this film is for. It's for fans and his friends and his family to say goodbye, to get closure to a character that touched us by a man who was genuinely just a good human being. And I just very loudly sobbed in the theater, because it was the movie truly saying, here, have a moment of silence and just feel your feelings and let it come to you. Let it fill you up and overwhelm you, and then let it out, and then let it go. And it was the most peaceful, most beautiful ending to any Marvel film they've ever made, MCU or otherwise. This was a perfect bookend. Goodbye. We love you. Thank you. Fantastic. It's just all around perfect casting, writing, direction, the fantastic music score, just fantastic. The cinematography, incredible. As it was the first Black Panther, was brimming and just brimming and filled with gorgeous color palettes. It was beautiful to look at, just beautiful. They really try to do it different while keeping only a little bit of the Marvel formula there without holding on to a lot of what they normally do. They really tried to make this movie different, stand out, and without it needing to be a part of an MCU formula, this movie really is on its own just a goodbye, thank you, we love you, we miss you, and you'll always be with us type of movie. And it's very rare to get those where you get a send-off or a goodbye to a character, and that's essentially what the movie exists for. And I'm so grateful that it does, because I haven't cried that good in a while. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Guys, my overall review of Black Panther is positive. And if I were to grade it on an A to F scale, this movie gets an A- from me. Solid 9.5 out of 10 for me. Easy. Guys, thank you so much for watching. You can follow me over on TikTok at MJClark21. I am trying to grow that channel. I'm also trying to get back into more movie reviews here because I've been focusing so much on that. But I am trying to get to 10,000 followers by the end of November on my TikTok channel. If you could do me a great favor and just go follow me. I do a lot of voice acting stuff over there. But if you could please just give me a good like, a share, a follow, and a subscribe, which I think is pretty much what a follow means. But please go see Black Panther in theaters. World release tomorrow on November 11th, 2022. You guys have been fantastic, and happy holidays. Thank you. Goodbye.